Science and technology are important parts of culture. Science is the active process of acquiring knowledge in the natural world. Technology is the way in which people use tools and machines. So it can also be the skills they use in using those tools or machines. Technology and progress. Early humans made gradual advances in technology. About 3 million years ago, people first learned how to make tools and weapons out of stone. They later discovered how to control fire. Fire always existed. Lightning would make fire, but they had to learn how to control it and how to start it, like with flint and stone, on their own, how to get it when they needed it to keep warm or to hunt or for protection. That was a big change. This process we're talking about is how civilizations developed. So, the first step to becoming a civilization was developing tools, made usually weapons made out of stone. The second step is the discovery of how to control fire. Technological advances changed cultures. Early humans were hunters and gatherers who traveled. They wandered from place to place to find food. They were always moving, so they didn't worry too much about their shelters. Later, people discovered how to grow crops. So this is the third step, and a big step is the discovery of how to agriculture, how to gather seeds and to grow your own crops. Now they could stay put. Now they're going to make more permanent settlements and better houses because they're going to stay by those crops. They learned how to adapt plants to make them more useful. They tamed wild animals for farming or used them as food. Over time, people began to rely on agriculture for most of their food. Agriculture is a real important change in the development of civilization as we look at history. Agriculture provided a steady food supply and let people settle in one place. As settlements grew and were more permanent, they turned into cities. People began to create laws and governments. When you have people together, you needed some kind of order. They developed writing. So the final step for a culture to be called a civilization was to develop writing. These advances led to the first civilizations or societies with complex cultures about 5,000 years ago. So it went from hunting and gathering, just wandering for food, to discovering how to make tools, making tools or weapons out of stone. Learning the next step, second step was to control fire. The next step, a big one, was the turning point of discovering how to farm. Agriculture is farming. And that made permanent settlements where they could stay put. They had more time. And then they developed laws, governments. And the final step was writing. They wanted to write those ideas down, to record information. And that's the beginning of recording history. As we translate those ancient languages, when you have writing, you have a record of history so that we get, besides just the clues from artifacts that are left behind. Early civilizations developed new technologies that allowed people to grow more crops. People invented tools such as the plow, the handheld plow, to help increase food productions and then having animals pull them. They built canals and ditches to irrigate to get water. So irrigate means to supply water to the crops. Cultures that lacked writing developed more slowly. Over time, agriculture and civilization spread across the world. Modern technology. Beginning around 1800, people developed new technology that used power-driven machinery. This is industrialization. We've been talking about it in a couple. This was the Industrial Revolution in the 1800s. It led to the growth of cities, so that rapid population growth that we just talked about last week, science, and many new businesses. Eventually, people developed even more advanced technologies such as automobiles, airplanes, computers, and space travel. All of these advances in science and technology have greatly changed people's lives and raised that standard of living. Remember, standard of living is the level of comfort enjoyed by a person or society. It means comfort like being able to go to the doctor when you need to, having a good education so you can make good decisions. That when we looked at developed and developing countries, a higher standard of living usually means a developed country like the United States or Canada. And developing are some of the smaller countries we talked about that are still dealing with some problems. They need to build their economy to have a better quality of living. Modern technology also helps to connect people, products, and ideas. Political decisions and belief systems can affect the use of technology. So, for example, the Chinese government has limited Chinese citizens' use of the internet. They censor. This is an attempt to control discussion of government policies and other issues. They don't want people protesting the government. They don't have freedom of speech. Many religions have used technology as part of their practices. For example, religious groups have used the printing press to print the Hebrew Bible, the Christian Bible, the Quran, and other holy writings. Today, some religious organizations use radio, television, and the internet to broadcast and spread their beliefs to new people. They might get new members to their congregation. So make sure you read carefully about this chart with technology. And it kind of goes through some of the steps that we talked about. Wheel was a big technology that changed transportation, being able to go much further than just traveling by horse. So make sure you read all of the side on the pages as well for how that science and technology has affected culture.